Welcome back to Quarterback Film Room. So we're going to take a look at some of the quarterbacks, where they have landed. We're going to discuss a variety of first-rounders and then also give you guys updates on where some of the lesser-known names have landed. So the first talking point today obviously has to be Baker Mayfield. He gets selected number 1 overall by the Browns here. And he's going to go into a situation where he's got to compete with Tyrod Taylor. And then Drew Stanton isn't a threat to Mayfield. He's just more so a mentor for both Tyrod and Mayfield. Now, Taylor has started for the past 2 years in Buffalo. Possibly even 3 years, actually, yeah. So he has a wealth of experience playing the position. He started the playoff game last year for Buffalo, but he comes to Cleveland, and by all accounts, he's the starter. I mean, that's what Hugh Jackson's been preaching over and over again. Tyrod Taylor is his guy. So if we're in an ideal world and Mayfield's competing head-to-head with Tyrod, who's going to win that competition? You know, honestly, I think it's a 50-50 proposition. It could go either way. Tyrod, a very athletic guy, similar skill set in terms of his arm, and Tyrod's ability to throw deep. Obviously, Baker Mayfield can really throw the ball well deep. Mayfield has some fine-tuning to do. He's going to be forced to play under center more so than he did at OU. But Mayfield will have an opportunity to sit here. And if Tyrod struggles, they're going to turn to Baker, whether that's October, November, or December. But he will play at some point this year. I do find it not puzzling, but intriguing, the fact that the Browns opted to go with Mayfield over Rosen, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold. Not that those other 3 guys were considerably better than Mayfield, but they were better than him, and they are better than him. Not by much, but they are. So my thought is that the Browns brass, obviously we're talking about the new general manager John Dorsey, Hugh Jackson, new offensive coordinator Todd Haley. All 3 of those guys basically have the same temperament, same psychological temperament as Baker Mayfield. And then you got a guy like Sam Darnold, a little bit more reserved, laid back, Southern California, tough kid, obviously great character with Sam Darnold, but I can see why the Browns brass opted to go with Mayfield over Sam Darnold. And then Josh Allen, just the inconsistent tape. I mean, so arguably Mayfield's a safer choice than Josh Allen in their eyes. And then Josh Rosen, you say, well, a little bit of a polarizing personality from Rosen, so you can kind of see why or how they came to the conclusion to move Mayfield ahead based upon their predisposition to Mayfield's temperament. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. And then obviously we've got next in line, Sam Darnold goes to the Jets. He's going to be united with former USC offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates, who worked under Pete Carroll. So he's a guy who has familiarity with SC and a guy who I believe temperamentally also is similar to Sam Darnold. So look for Darnold to be tutored by Josh McCown, and that's going to be an ideal situation for him to grow as well. And then we've got Josh Allen. He goes to Buffalo. He's going to be playing for Brian Daboll up there, and I don't think that's a situation where he is going to have to play early either. They have A.J. McCarron. So I think he sits as well. Josh Rosen to Arizona. The Cardinals found themselves in a spot where Josh Rosen was still on the board. And they decided to pull the trigger, and I can't blame them. You know, you got a guy, Sam Bradford, who's, if he returns to his 2016 form and he's able to stay healthy, there's no way Josh Rosen even sees the field in year 1. And then possibly even beyond that, if Sam Bradford can continue on what he started, in 2015, 2016. So, but obviously the injury history, the knee issue, so they had to make a decision. And then they have Mike Glenn in there, also in Arizona, to serve as an insurance policy. So as we move on a little bit further, Mason Rudolph ends up going to Pittsburgh. And he's going to be a guy who's going to be able to take over for Landry Jones. He's already a better quarterback than Landry Jones, the Steelers' backup. So Mason Rudolph is going to have an opportunity to start there if things continue and his path is further defined, he's going to have an opportunity to replace Big Ben at some point when he retires. So, like that pick. Kyle Lauletta to the Giants. That makes sense. Did not see that coming, but it does make sense. The Giants pick up Lauletta in round 3, a guy that Pat Shurmur liked, obviously, and a guy that will be able to fit into Shurmur's system pretty well. Skill set wise, a little bit similar to Case Keenum, although Lauletta, probably a little bit more refined actually coming out of college than Case Keenum, and a guy who has great leadership skills. So that's clearly a developmental role. Eli's the guy there. But Lauletta finds himself in an ideal spot as well. So other guys to note, Mike White goes to the Cowboys, 5th round selection. You can call me crazy, but I believe that if Mike White continues to develop, he has the natural passing ability to be better than Dak Prescott in, obviously, a controlled passing game system. Now, he's not the athlete Dak is, but that's going to be interesting to see how Mike White develops down there in Dallas. Obviously, Dak's the guy, but Mike White, intriguing prospect. Other guys to note, Tanner Lee of Nebraska, he finds himself heading to Jacksonville, Florida. He's going to be in the mix for the backup spot down in Jacksonville. Brandon Silvers signs a free agent deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Peterson is from Louisiana. Silvers is from, I believe, Alabama. So 2 Southern boys sort of finding a kinship, and Silvers is a guy who the Eagles will like, obviously, but he's going to have to beat out Nate Sudfeld. It looks like. But either way, a good opportunity for Silvers. They also pick up Jeremiah Briscoe, the Eagles, that is, so they got 2 guys in there. Let's see here. The Vikings pick up Matt Linehan, son of Scott Linehan, as an undrafted free agent guy. He's going to come up there to Winter Park, their new facility in Eagan. He's going to add depth in the rookie camp, but I don't really see him having a career in the National Football League. And then beyond that, Logan Woodside finds himself in Cincinnati. He just has to make the short trip from his home in Kentucky across the river to land in Cincinnati. So an ideal spot for him as well. He's going to have an opportunity to be the primary backup as a rookie to Andy Dalton. So obviously the Bengals see the talent there, the potential in Logan Woodside, and a great spot for him as well. So just a few guys here we're touching upon. Nick Shimanek, undrafted free agent. He heads to the Los Angeles Chargers in a nice spot as well. And then Division II quarterback Luis Perez, he's going to head to the Los Angeles Rams. So he's going to link up with Sean McVay, and Luis Perez is a natural thrower of the football. So don't be shocked if this kid makes the 53-man for the Chargers. Sean McVay likes these type of quarterbacks. He's very much in the Jared Goff mold. Luis Perez. So an interesting name to watch as training camp begins, obviously, in July here in a few months, but he's a guy who could surprise some people. So those are some of the names, some of the quarterbacks. I'm just trying to think of other guys who have signed elsewhere. Let's see. Yeah, so Chase Litton goes to Andy Reid in Kansas City. So Chase is going to be another guy who finds himself in a good situation. So he's going to have a chance to make an impression there. So, but just a few guys here, undrafted free agent quarterbacks, and covering the draft and how it unfolded. So obviously early we saw a lot of quarterbacks go early, and then there was a drop-off round 2. A couple guys went in round 3. Kyle Lauletta, I believe, went round 4, and then there was a lull for a period of time, and then some guys were selected late. So team needs become the priority, and even though there were a handful of draftable quarterbacks, team needs do take over, and you need to take best player available. So that's why we saw a lot of these guys who hope to get drafted, like a Kurt Benkert, like a Silvers, like a Shimanek, end up signing as undrafted free agent guys. So Kurt Benkert heads to Atlanta.